The stars did not just shift today, they contradicted each other. And if you are a Leo, that contradiction is the whole story. Somewhere in the sky right now, two completely different measuring systems are looking at the exact same moon and calling it two different signs. That is not a mistake. That is not bad math. That is the kind of day where the very tools astrologers use to read the sky disagree with each other about you, and understanding why is going to matter more than any single prediction I could hand you. Because tucked inside that disagreement is something almost every Leo is about to feel without knowing what to call it. The bigger picture. Let us start with the planet doing the loudest work today. Mercury has just crossed into Leo, landing directly in your first house, the house of self, appearance, and voice. In Western tropical astrology, this is the house that governs how you show up in a room before you have said a single word. Mercury here does not just help you talk. It sharpens the signal, so what comes out of your mouth finally sounds like what is actually in your head. This transit holds through August 25th, so what starts today has room to build. Underneath that, there is a slower, deeper current. Chiron, the wounded healer of the chart, is currently transiting Taurus, and because Taurus and Leo do not share a house cusp by default, its influence here comes through rulership. Chiron is tracing an arc around the sun, and the sun rules you. That is not incidental. It means whatever insecurity you have carried about being too much, or not enough, around ambition and public success, is being quietly renegotiated right now. You are not being asked to shrink the wound. You are being asked to move the goalposts around it. Now here is where it gets genuinely interesting. Vedic, or sidereal, astrology is tracking the moon in Gemini today relaxed, curious, mentally quick. But Western tropical charts place that same physical moon in Cancer, more tender, more easily bruised. Both are correct. They are using different starting points on the same zodiac belt, roughly 24 degrees apart, so the sky has not changed, the lens has. And that is actually the perfect metaphor for your day. Two true things, coexisting, depending on which part of yourself you are looking through. Love. Bring that duality into your relationships, and you will recognize it immediately. Mercury in your own sign means you finally have the vocabulary for things you have been circling for weeks, an update, an invitation, a declaration you have been rehearsing in the shower. The words are ready. But that tropical Cancer moon is sitting underneath all of it, making you more tender than your confident delivery might suggest. You may have noticed this contradiction already today, feeling bold enough to say the thing, but flinching slightly before you do. That flinch is not weakness. It is just sensitivity riding alongside courage, and the two can share space. The move here is not to perform extra confidence to cover the nerve. Say the honest version plainly, and then let silence do its job. Let the other person actually respond instead of filling the air to control how they react. If you are single, the Vedic placement suggests a Gemini-toned lightness in the air, and some of you may find yourselves unexpectedly drawn into flirtation with a Cancer, someone whose softness mirrors the sensitivity you are carrying underneath your own newly sharpened voice. Partnered Leos, take note. If your attention has drifted lately toward ambition or self-focus, this is a good week to close that gap before it widens, because your partner may be feeling the distance even if you have not. Career. This is where the Chiron thread from earlier pays off. Picture someone standing at a set of goalposts that everyone else agreed were fixed and quietly moving them, not out of arrogance, but because they finally trust their own sense of what is fair. That is the energy available to you at work, in school, or in any unpaid effort you have poured yourself into. Chiron's arc around your ruling sun gives you an unusual amount of authority to redefine what success even looks like in your field, rather than accepting terms someone else set years ago. Layer Mercury's sharpened voice on top of that, and you have a rare combination: the conviction to change the rules and the words to explain why the change makes sense. There is also a friendly structural support running underneath this, an 11th house lunar energy, in Western terms, forming an easy sextile to your sun, the kind of aspect that awakens your inner rebel without demanding you burn anything down. Translation: you can push back on a group norm, a professional expectation, or an outdated agreement, and still walk away with most people's respect intact. Aim for that, rather than the scorched earth version. When your outer presentation and your actual message line up, and today, thanks to Mercury, you become very hard to overlook. Money. That same sense of expanded possibility touches your finances too. Astrology's Vedic reading for today notes real opportunities arriving that reward you for testing your own skills rather than playing it safe, and the general financial outlook leans favorable, possibly including one of those unplanned windfalls that shows up almost by accident. The catch, and it is a real one, favorable does not mean unlimited. If a little extra comes your way, or if you are feeling flush off the confidence Mercury is lending you, resist the urge to treat that mood as a spending strategy. Confidence in your voice and confidence in your bank balance are not the same thing. And today is better spent noticing the difference than blurring it. Health. Here is what makes today genuinely rare, and it is worth sitting with for a second. You are simultaneously being handed the clearest voice you have had in weeks and the most emotionally porous undercurrent running beneath it, because two zodiac systems are reading the same moon two different ways at once. Most people watching a horoscope today will only get told you are confident or you are sensitive. You are actually both at the same time, and the real skill is not picking one, it is letting them work together instead of against each other. That is the truth bomb most horoscopes will skip past, and it is the one worth remembering the next time you feel strong and shaky in the same breath. Practically, that means managing your nervous system matters as much as managing your calendar today. Drink more water than feels necessary. Protect your sleep tonight rather than pushing through on momentum, because Mercury's confidence can quietly run on adrenaline if you let it. If stress builds, do not cover it with extra volume or extra activity. That is the same instinct showing up in your body that shows up in your conversations. A short walk, a few minutes of quiet, or simply naming the feeling out loud to someone you trust will do more for you today than powering through. None of this requires a specific remedy or ritual. General grounding practices like these are safe and useful for absolutely anyone, regardless of chart detail. Home and family. Family matters have a way of pulling at your evening today, and that is not a coincidence you need to resist. The Vedic reading points specifically to domestic obligations occupying your later hours, and rather than treating that as an interruption to your real priorities, consider that it might be one of the more restorative parts of your day. A shared meal with people who know you well, the kind of company that does not require you to perform Mercury's sharpened wit, can genuinely lift your mood in a way that productivity cannot. The trick is boundaries, not avoidance. Let family time happen without letting it swallow whatever priority task still needs your attention before the day closes. Travel and spirit. If you find yourself moving between settings today, from a work conversation to a family dinner to a private, reflective moment, notice how differently each one calls on you. It is a small preview of the larger lesson underneath everything happening in your chart right now. You are not required to be the same volume, the same pace, or the same version of yourself in every room. The Chiron thread we traced back to your career section is really about self-worth in general, and self-worth does not ask you to be uniform. It asks you to be honest in each context, one at a time. Spend a few quiet minutes today, even 5, simply noticing which parts of yourself felt most natural to show, and which felt slightly forced. That noticing is the spiritual work today is actually offering you, disguised as an ordinary day. Lucky signs. If you are looking for the small, practical details to carry with you, Vedic tradition marks sea green as your lucky color today, and the window between 2 and 3 in the afternoon as your most favorable stretch for important tasks. A good time to schedule that conversation Mercury has been preparing you for. Cancer carries a notably warm, flirtatious energy for singles today, while the 11th house lunar support from earlier makes group settings, causes, and creative collaborations especially receptive to what you bring. Today's guidance. So here is where all of this actually lands. You were handed 2 versions of the sky today, one that made you feel articulate and bold, another that left you a little more tender than you look. Most days ask you to pick a lane. Today does not. Say the honest version of what you need to say, whether that is to a partner, a colleague, or a room full of people watching to see if your message matches your image. Let the softness stay too. It is not a flaw in the plan, it is proof the plan is working on more than one level at once. Move the goalposts where they genuinely need moving, protect your evening for the people who ground you, and trust that the same voice carrying you through a hard conversation today is the one worth listening to tomorrow, and the day after that, as this Mercury window keeps unfolding through the rest of August.